If the ancients could speak, would they warn us? What wisdom, gleaned from their long-lost world, would they impart? Imagine a voice, not of flesh and bone, but carved in stone, echoing across millennia. This voice belongs to a civilization that built monuments to eternity, structures designed to defy the very concept of decay. The ancient Egyptians, a society steeped in ritual, myth, and a profound understanding of the cosmos. They etched their thoughts, fears, and knowledge, preserving their legacy for generations yet unborn, onto temple walls and papyrus scrolls, ensuring their stories would not be lost to the sands of time. Using a language of pictures, hieroglyphs, a complex system of symbols that held the key to their world. What message did they believe was important enough to outlast their own world? What secrets did they deem worthy of such monumental effort? The answer might be a warning, a cautionary tale etched in stone, meant to guide us away from repeating their mistakes. The Egyptians were masters of time, meticulously tracking its passage and understanding its influence, understanding its vast cyclical nature. They saw history not as a linear progression, but as a series of repeating patterns. They charted the sun's journey, marking the seasons and the ebb and flow of life, and the Nile's floods, the lifeblood of their civilization, bringing both sustenance and destruction. But also knew time could bring chaos and disaster. They were acutely aware of the fragility of their existence. Carving a message into granite was an immense task, a testament to their dedication and unwavering belief in the importance of their words, done only for what truly mattered. Only the most vital knowledge was deemed worthy of such a permanent record. They wanted their message to survive floods, wars, and the slow erosion of time. They sought immortality through their words. The Egyptians were sending a signal through the ages, a beacon of knowledge cast into the distant future, bottling their experiences for the future, encapsulating their wisdom within the very stones that defined their world. We, living in a distant future, are the ones who have found their bottle. We are the inheritors of their ancient wisdom. The question is, can we understand the message inside? Can we decipher the secrets hidden within these ancient symbols? The universe is full of whispers, faint echoes of events long past, resonating through the fabric of space and time. Some from distant stars, some from our own planet's deep past. Whispers of creation, destruction, and the enduring struggle for survival. The hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt are one of humanity's oldest and most enduring whispers, a testament to the power of human expression. They speak of a world both familiar and alien, a world of gods and mortals, of triumphs and tragedies, pharaohs, pyramids, and sudden terrifying change. A world teetering on the brink of both greatness and collapse. A world where the gods could turn angry, the sky could fall, and the river of life could fail. A world where the balance of nature was constantly threatened. They are trying to tell us something. A message of hope, a warning of despair, or perhaps simply a reflection of their own humanity. We just have to listen. And in listening, perhaps we can learn something about ourselves. Imagine trying to decipher a message from a civilization long gone. How do you listen to a language that has been silent for 2,000 years? How do you even begin to understand the thoughts and beliefs of a people whose voices have faded into the sands of time? The script of the ancient Egyptians, a system we know as hieroglyphs, is a breathtaking work of art. Each symbol is meticulously crafted, a testament to their advanced artistic skill. For centuries we saw hieroglyphs as mere decoration, mystical symbols, perhaps even magical spells imbued with hidden powers. Their true purpose remained elusive, but they were so much more. They were a true language, a complex system capable of expressing the full range of human thought, including science, history, and even the most beautiful and moving poetry. The Greeks, encountering these strange and beautiful symbols, called them hieroglyphs, sacred carvings, believing them to be the language of the gods themselves. Deciphering them, unlocking their secrets, was a monumental challenge that would take centuries of dedicated effort. Hieroglyphs were not a simple code, but a sophisticated mix. A single picture could mean an idea, represent a sound, or even define a broader category of things. For nearly 2 millennia, humanity had lost the instruction manual, the key to understanding this intricate system. The voices of the pharaohs, their stories, their wisdom, were trapped, frozen in stone, inaccessible to the modern world. Imagine walking through the grand halls of Karnak, surrounded by beautiful, enigmatic pictures, knowing they tell a story, a vital piece of human history, but unable to read a single word. The frustration for scholars, driven by curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, was immense. almost unbearable. The secrets of one of the world's greatest civilizations, a culture that shaped the course of history, were locked away in plain sight. What did the Egyptians know about medicine, their understanding of the human body? What about astronomy, their observations of the stars, or their beliefs about the creation of the universe? What warnings, what prophecies did they record for future generations? The knowledge was there, etched in stone, tantalizingly close, yet impossibly far, separated by a wall of linguistic obscurity. The people who built the pyramids, those incredible feats of engineering, had something to say, something to share with the world. But their language, the key to unlocking their world, was dead, or so it seemed. To unlock their secrets, to hear their voices across the millennia, someone had to find a way to make the stone speak again. The breakthrough came from a broken slab of dark stone, the Rosetta Stone. Discovered by French soldiers in 1799, it bore 3 scripts: hieroglyphs, demotic, and ancient Greek. The Greek text was a decree, explicitly stating it was inscribed in all 3 scripts. This was the key, a parallel text, a direct translation. But the puzzle was far from solved. The hieroglyphic section was damaged, and matching words and sounds was painstaking. For 20 years, scholars struggled, making incremental progress. The final leap came from Jean-François Champollion, a prodigy obsessed with Egypt. He realized hieroglyphs were a hybrid symbolic and alphabetic. The crucial clue came from cartouches, ovals encircling royal names. By comparing the names Ptolemy and Cleopatra, he began to crack the phonetic code. In 1822, Champollion had his eureka moment. He deciphered the name Rameses. He burst into his brother's office, shouted, "I've got it!" and fainted from exhaustion. He had done it. The voices of the ancients were no longer silent. Now we could finally read their warnings. With the code broken, the secrets of the past began to surface. A torrent of information was unleashed, revealing the triumphs and tragedies of ancient Egypt. Among the grand stories of pharaohs and gods, scholars found darker tales, stories of hardship and resilience like that of Ankhtifi, a governor during Egypt's first intermediate period, a time of great upheaval. His tomb inscriptions are not just boasts of power and authority. They're a desperate account, etched in stone, of a society on the brink of collapse, struggling for survival. Ankhtifi writes, with chilling clarity, "All of Upper Egypt was dying of hunger, to such a degree that everyone had come to eating their children." He presents himself as a savior, a leader who managed to keep his region alive and fed, while the rest of the land starved and suffered. The inscriptions vividly describe a land gripped by chaos and despair. A kingdom fractured, the government collapsed, order vanished, the Nile failed to flood its banks, and the sun seemed to turn against them, scorching the earth. These texts, therefore, describe not just political turmoil, but a full-blown climate catastrophe. Some scholars, piecing together the evidence, connect these accounts to a global cooling event that occurred around 2200 BC, a phenomenon seen and confirmed in ice cores extracted from glaciers and the study of ancient tree rings. For Egypt, a land utterly dependent on the Nile, a prolonged drought was nothing short of an apocalypse. The life-giving river shrank to a trickle, the fertile land turned to dust and barren wasteland, harvests failed, famine spread like wildfire, and civilization once so mighty began to unravel at the seams. What Ankhtifi so vividly recorded was not mere myth or legend, it was a collective memory of a devastating reality. A memory of a time when the established world's order collapsed, when the very foundations of their society crumbled. The inscriptions, therefore, serve as a stark and enduring reminder. Even the most powerful and advanced civilizations are ultimately fragile and vulnerable to the forces of nature. When the delicate balance with nature is broken or ignored, the consequences can be truly terrifying and irreversible. Ankhtifi's haunting words reach across the vast expanse of 4,000 years, a chilling warning etched in stone about the catastrophic consequences that can unfold when the climate undergoes sudden and drastic changes. Another warning is carved on a granite boulder on the island of Sehel the famine Stele. It claims to be a copy of a document from Pharaoh Djoser, describing a 7-year drought. The story begins with the pharaoh in distress. The Nile had not flooded for 7 years. The nation was in famine, grain was gone, people were desperate, the social order breaking down. The pharaoh turns to his advisor, Imhotep, who consults sacred texts and identifies Khnum, the ram-headed god, as the one who controls the Nile. Djoser makes a great offering to Khnum, promising land and wealth. The story ends with Khnum promising to make the Nile rise again. The famine is over, the land is saved. Most historians see this as political propaganda, created centuries later to justify the priest's power. But the fear it taps into is real. The memory of catastrophic famine haunted the Egyptian psyche. It was a story powerful enough to be used to assert power even millennia later. The Tempest Stele, erected by Pharaoh Amosi I, describes a cataclysmic storm that struck Egypt. The language is apocalyptic, a tempest of rain, darkness, destruction, bodies cast into the Nile. The pharaoh is portrayed as restoring order, distributing food, and rebuilding temples. For years, scholars saw this as royal propaganda, but a new theory links it to the Thera eruption around 1600 BC, one of the largest volcanic eruptions in history. The eruption would have sent ash into the atmosphere, causing darkness and violent weather. The Tempest Stele may be an eyewitness account of this event. If so, it's one of the oldest geological records of a specific catastrophe. The Egyptians were trying to describe a day the sky literally fell, a warning that the earth itself can betray you. Are these texts literal records, or allegories and propaganda? The Famine Stele, the Tempest Stele, Ankhtifi's tomb. They speak of hunger, chaos, and storms. Some argue they're historical fact, pointing to climate data and geological evidence. Others see them as stories shaped for political or religious purposes. The Famine Stele ends with priests gaining power. The Tempest Stele glorifies the pharaoh. Perhaps the truth lies in between real disasters, molded into stories with a message. The memory of disaster gives the story power. The political message gives it purpose. For the ancients, history, myth, and politics were woven together into a single tapestry. Every civilization has stories of floods, darkness, and disaster. The Egyptians were not unique. They were simply human living on a dynamic, sometimes violent planet. Their world was uncertain, so they built their society around the predictable Nile and the movements of the stars. Their monuments and rituals were defenses against the randomness of the universe. The warnings they carved in stone were expressions of their deepest anxieties, records of moments when chaos won. These weren't just stories. They were cultural traumas etched into memory. In a way, their fears are our fears. We may have replaced gods with science, but the underlying anxiety is the same. We live on the same restless planet, still vulnerable to nature's forces. The ancient Egyptians grappled with the same truth we do. We are fragile beings, adrift in a vast and indifferent cosmos. So what are the ancients trying to tell us? That the world can change, suddenly, violently, without warning. That the systems we depend on are fragile. Their warnings are survival lessons, paid for in suffering. They carved these messages in stone, aiming for deep time. They were speaking to the distant future, to us. We are the ones who found their key and learned to read their words. We have heard their tales of famine, darkness, and chaos. The final question is not what they were trying to tell us, but why. Did they understand that all civilizations would face the same challenges? The words have lasted for 4,000 years. They have found their audience. What we do with their warning is up to us.